to the Heart and Home podcast. Woo! By the Practitioners Collective. I'm Gloria Tan, and this is the one and only.
Well, my name is Taufik. I'm a Taufik for the long form, but Taufik's just everyone calls me Taufik.
Okay, so Taufik. People know us from different backgrounds and very different things. Please reintroduce yourself.
Please reintroduce myself.
Yes.
Well, when the reality of the whole situation is this, that everyone knows me from my sporting achievements.
Yes.
They know me as Taufik, the strongman. Yeah, because I compete in strongman, the Highland game, track and field, and yeah.
And even with what was that physical 100?
Yes.
When people were like, oh, then where's the Singapore representation for strongman? And like the amount of people that was tagging your name, and I was going through the comments, I'm like, yeah, that's my friend, tu kawan aku, that's my friend.
and my response to them is like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested anymore to do this, because I've been doing strongman since 2005 when it first started out in Singapore. That was the first one. I won that one, and then I came in second, third, and then I moved on to compete in regional competitions. I won those two. So, but the reality is that strongman is just 25-30% of who I am. And the other 70% is I'm actually a social service practitioner. I've been in social services for good 24 years already.
I was really surprised when I found out. I was really so for me, my cognitive bias was that, oh yeah, strongman, I lift rocks.
Well, that's true. I do lift stones.
I so strong. Then when I first met you, I was like, oh, what? And you're like, hi, I'm Taufik.
Yeah.
Oh, just do 100 reps of this face pull.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I'm like, oh. And then I asked you what you did, and then you said, what you do, and you were like, oh, I'm in the social service sector, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually when I share with them my profession, they're like, the children not scared of you. Actually, you'll be very surprised. Actually, the children love me.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's like a beacon of safety. Right? Like,
yeah. So I've been doing this for 24 years. I have experiences in working with youths, families, professionals, where else? A residential setting, crisis, and even a lot of the work I've been doing has been with children, families.
So you see for 20 over years.
20 over years, as you can tell.
Really
as you can tell, the beard is kind of grey.
No lah, where?
And there's no more hair, but yeah.
Tell me, what got you into the social work sector?
I've always been volunteering or being volunteered. Because my mom would do her thing and she would volunteer at a old folks home. Previously, when I was younger, I think in my early teens or when I was in primary school, and I met a social worker there. And then this social worker introduced me to another social worker, and then it got me to a point whereby I volunteered with to work with children, with youths at risk. That time I was, I think, 19. This was in, I think, 1999, 1998. And I didn't stop from there. Even when I was in Polytechnic, I didn't do social work in Polytechnic. I did mechanical engineering.
It's a very different field.
I actually loved it, actually. I actually liked it the first 2 years. The maths, not so much. But I like the practical aspects of it. Then I went for my 6 months attachment, and I decided, nope. Nope, this is not for me.
Okay.
So I did a diploma in psychology, counseling and psychology, and then I did a degree. I did a postgraduate, and then kind of didn't stop after that. Yeah, and then I got sucked into the social service sector. Yeah.
And you stayed there all the way.
All the way. I don't know how to do anything else. I mean, I do know, but I would say that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's definitely your calling, and it's a
Yeah.
very, very strong one, especially to be in the field for like 20 over years. Is there something that drives you? Is there something that like keeps you, pushing on in the social work service?
I think that's a very big question. There's a few ways to answer it. I'll try my best to answer it.
Okay.
There was one time when I was invited to do a radio show. Um, and it was very interesting because they were doing like every week they invited like the DJ invited different like different professions, and then one of them and then they asked me like, Taufik, so the social service sector, their pay is not great, um and the work is demanding. Why are you doing this? Then I told them, my response was, you would think that I'm a very altruistic person lah, but I can tell you that people in social services may not be that altruistic lah. That means they do good to help others with no expecting no reward in return. I don't expect anything from my clients or anyone that I worked with. It's just that I want to go to heaven lah, basically. Basically, I want to make sure that I do a lot of good deeds. I help people. I support people as much as I possibly can, and I want to go to heaven lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's one of the reasons.
But I know some my friends always joke about it. No, bro, you're going downstairs with me.
If you go downstairs, I meet you at the lobby.
Yeah, but that's what that's like that's the reason basically. Yeah, I want to make sure so that uh I leave with a good legacy. And I remember I was having this in one of my classes. It was death and dying, counseling in grief and death.
Right.
And I think we are supposed to write our eulogy, and what we want inscribed on our tombstone. It gets a bit dark from here, but I said, and I want people to remember me just by 3 words: a good man. Yeah, that's all. That's the legacy that I want to leave behind. Yeah.
A good man.
Yeah, a good man. Maybe a handsome man also can, but a good man better.
A strong.
A good man better. A good strong man.
Okay, cool. That works as well.
Yeah, that works as well too.
Yeah. So you were in the social work for 20 over years. You were in
Yep.
different companies.
Yeah.
And now you've decided to open the Practitioners Collective.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Sometimes when you work for agencies or companies, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of great social workers who are doing that. I wanted a little bit more time, a little bit more freedom, a little bit more autonomy. Because sometimes when you work for a big company, you are part of the machinery. Like the director levels, you are like a big gear, and then at the manager level, like myself, you are like a smaller gear that is driving the smaller gears that are working. And the machinery will keep moving. And you're just moving. And there are days where I ask myself, do I need to be a part of this machinery? Do I still find satisfaction, which I still do? But at the end of the day, there was one thing that was missing, was time. Because my mom is pretty old now. I think she's in the 70s, and it was very hard because if you're in the social industry, whether you're in residential services, you're in crisis work, time is not yours. The time is not yours. They say work-life balance. It's like, no, it's people who want to work in social service industry. I just want to be very upfront with you. Work-life balance. Yeah. It may or may not exist. It's a unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of my friends in the social work service who have like burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And burnout in social work in social services is a reality. And here's another interesting fact. People who are mental health professionals have the worst mental health.
ooh, that's heavy. That's
Because
heavy.
they carry with themselves their own personal emotions, their baggage, and then at the same time also they take on other people's baggage, they take on other people's energy, and it takes a toll.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on you.
Yeah, I've seen, I know of like this well, actually two ladies who were like freaking amazing, and they were also in the social work, and I thought they were gonna like they were, everyone relied upon them.
Superstars.
Yeah, they were superstars. And after I was
I probably know them.
yeah.
Or they probably know me.
I don't drop names. I don't drop names. But like after I was done with because I work with different organizations and yeah, different people of different backgrounds as well. Like when I was done with that particular project, it was only shortly after that they left as well.
Yeah.
And then I asked them, and they also spoke about burnout as well.
Burnout is real, especially in social services, because you carry the burden of others. Basically, your job is that our job exists because we take on the troubles of others. People who are struggling with finances, people who are struggling with going through separation or divorce, people who are struggling with their children, people who are struggling with their work at transitions, and people who are suffering loss. So we take on a lot of that weight on our shoulders. Yeah.
Now I've got a question about Practitioners Collective. So you decided to start it. Why did you decide to start it? And how? Oh my gosh, this is like so many questions.
Ask, okay, why? Okay, why?
Why the Practitioners Collective? We've kind of half answered that.
Half answered that. Yeah.
And then how did you come about putting like these very different individuals together? Because I'm really interested in that.
Okay. So when I first came up with the idea, to be very honest with you, it was one of those thoughts that came when I was just driving.
Okay.
It's like, I think I need to start up my own thing. Because that if you work in a big organization, right, everyone has almost similar skill sets. If you work in FSC, everyone is specialized at something. So at Practitioners Collective is different. We are different because we have, like yourself, you do theatre and arts, like as part of play therapy, drama. I do a lot of family work, children and youths, and then we also have another one of part of the team, Dr. Susan, who does clinical psychology. She's a clinical psychologist, and then we also have Celine, who does clinical work, like clinical supervision, and also Eddie, who does work with Lego. And
it's
not
amazing.
It's amazing, and I find that, why do I need somebody who is the exact replica of me when I can have different people of different strengths to be part of the team? And while there's this term, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that our different skill sets, our different areas of expertise, help to sharpen each other. And if I'm not, if somebody approaches me, hey Taufik, like, I want to send my son or my daughter to expressive therapy, or like, is there yeah, sure, I know a person, and like, I need to do like some like psychometric assessments on my child. So yeah, of course I can help you with that.
And we need someone with like from family therapy.
Then of course they can see me lah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the how. And the why is because I just felt that there's a need to, and I felt that the time is right. And to be very honest with you, the main answer is that my mom's getting a little bit old, and I wanted to make sure that I'm there. And it was hard because of my role at the children's helpline. It was hard to do it. It was really difficult. I wouldn't say it was insurmountable. It was just difficult because at 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 Children's Society, at Tinker Friend, at Children's Hotline, I was more of an administrator. I wasn't a practitioner. I had this conversation with my clinical supervisor, and she asked me this: how have you been in practice? And I just told her this, you know what? I don't think I've been practicing at all. I think I'm the person who vets things, who puts up things for approval, who goes through supervision, who does training, and my role is an administrator. So I wanted to be a practitioner again. In a way, it might sound like a little bit selfish, but I felt that it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Maybe it's I don't see it as selfish though.
Yeah. How do you see it then?
I see it as you will always have to answer your calling. So it doesn't matter how far you stray or how far you want to go away from your calling. Your calling will always pull you back to where you're meant to be. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. So that's why when I first approached you, I said, hey Chloe, I wanna do this now. And then I started to intentionally put ideas in your head, and
I know. I saw all the seeds you planted, and the worst thing is that I'm really imaginative, and when I can visualize something, I just won't stop.
And then when my friend Susan came up to me, it's like, Susan, what do you think about this? And then she says, let's do it. and then when Eddie was like he left his job because he wanted to take on a more bigger role with his girls. And I said, Eddie, let me share with you something. And then he's like, I think I sucked him into our practitioners collective black hole. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was fantastic that you saw this need and this gap, and I think it's very interesting that all the practitioners have very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And you just pulled us together, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
so. I feel that sometimes it's like an adventure that is that we have no idea where we are going, but hey, we are in it for the ride.
Yeah. I like that too. I'm like, I don't know, but here we go. Woo! Yeah. And also I feel like Singapore is still quite a conservative country.
We still have people around our age, like maybe 40 and above, struggle with the concept of seeing a counselor or seeing a therapist, because there's a stigma to it. Correct?
And I see that because I work with youth as well, right? So I see the stigma from the parents, but I also see the demand from the youth, and over there's that little clash. So it's about getting the parents into and I'm interested, how does family therapy work, especially in this day and age?
So it really depends on what the needs are for that family. So if you're looking at a parenting need, there's a certain way to do it. If let's say if the family is going through a separation or a divorce, there's another way to do it. I always joke with one of my lawyer friends, and he's just telling me sometimes when I meet him, it's just like how bad work is, and how all these people are just so emotional vampires, and it sucks the hell out of it. And he asked me, Taufik, how do you do this? I said, I don't know. I mean, I just one day at a time. And one of the things that he joked about, but then again, right, We live off. We live because of we have jobs because of the misery of others. Because other people are unhappy, other people are struggling, they are facing some challenges. Because of that, we have a job,
Right.
And that's where our role is.
Right.
Yeah.
To bridge.
To bridge that, and most of the time when people do actually see me, sometimes, there's nothing much I could do.
Right.
Other than just telling them that, hey, this is what's happening, and let's work on you for this moment. To be very honest with you, if it comes to an extent of separation and divorce, it's very hard to reconcile. But my role is just to make sure that the journey that you take through that separation is somewhat more bearable. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's still
Yeah, so that's my role. So even like, let's say when I work with parents who are struggling with children, with their children or their teenagers, my role is not to fix them. My role is not to fix the children and the parents are like, David, now see my daughter, please fix her. Like,
it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't, because my role is not to fix anybody.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a biological or social engineer.
Yeah.
My role is just to give you insight, provide you perspective, and certain things that you might need to adjust. I say adjust, not wholesale changes, because I don't believe in making wholesale changes. Because wholesale changes are disruptive. So my role is just to make small little adjustments with a little strategy here, a little technique here, and something that you do differently. And that works.
So in these 20 years or 20 odd years, was there ever a case when you say that you give tools and all, was there ever a case that like stood out most to you?
So there was one case, I think it's just quite recently during the COVID period. There was this mom who wanted to who shared that I've been disciplining my child by using corporal punishment, physical punishment. I'll use the cane, I'll use whatever I could grab. Sounds familiar? I think we grew up in periods like that, right?
Yeah.
And she says that I want to stop, but I can't seem to stop at all.
Okay.
And one of the things that I worked with her was that to actually get her to recognize, find the triggers, and then put into actionable steps. So, and then there was one session that before the session she just called me, can I talk to you 20 minutes earlier, please? So I said, yeah, okay, I have some free time before the next session. And then she was sharing it, Taufik, I can't seem to stop. Today I just grabbed the hanger. I wanted to whack my child. And then, but I didn't. What do you mean you didn't? So tell me a little bit more what's going on, because like it sounds that you're trying something and then you caught yourself doing something. So yeah, I caught myself. I saw my child, I threw the hanger on the floor. He was misbehaving, I threw the hanger on the floor, and then I dressed, ran to my room. Okay. So, did you hit your child? I said, no, I didn't. That's great.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you caught yourself? I said, yeah. But then she was crying, I feel so guilty. I shouldn't have done it. And in that 20-30 minutes that we had, then I just told this. Today was the first day in 20-30 years that you took a first step not to follow through with hitting your child. Oh. And then I told her, how long have you been caning your child? 8 years? I said, yeah, 8 years. How long have you been using physical punishment with your other children? Another 8 years, 10 years? So it's 18 years, 10, 15 years. And on top of that, how long have you been receiving physical punishment when you were a child? Since I was 4 years old all the way up to 15. That's about 10 years. So, and then you expect 8 to 10 hours with me over a period of 4 to 8 weeks, 10 hours to undo 25 years of what you thought was right?
Yeah. I think she just doesn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment I shared that, she just like, oh, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm telling you that you can't expect 10 hours to undo 25 years of conditioning.
Yeah.
Because we grew up being caned. So we somewhat accepted that this is normal. Oh. Then she said, did I do something right today? I said, you definitely did something right today. You caught yourself. You didn't cane.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. That sounds like progress to me.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
I think she doesn't realize that what she's doing is actually really heavy and is really a lot because
And it's not her fault.
yeah, it's generational trauma.
It's generational trauma.
And she doesn't, and it's like what, total of maybe like 20, 30 years?
20, 30 years.
20, 30 years of trauma. Maybe before that,
Yep.
her parents as well.
Her parents
Yeah.
probably were caned. She
Yeah.
was probably caned.
Yeah.
And this is what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she didn't realize that she was trying to undo all that weight, all of that.
Yeah.
That habit. She's trying to undo that.
I think after 8 sessions, she just told me that, thank you. Just 2 words. Thank you for helping me. I said, well, I'm always a text or call away if you need a check-in. Yeah. You notice the terms that we use, we don't say counseling session. We use a check-in or consult. Yeah. So another thing at Practitioners Collective also is that we want to make sure that you get the best form of support that you possibly could get. So the first session will be complimentary. Complimentary, free, same things, right?
Yeah.
So and we do this because is that we want to make sure that you and the counselor or the therapist that you're seeing is a good fit. Because all of us have different personalities and like if there are some people like because you're very loud.
I am.
You are very loud and you're very boisterous.
Yeah.
And like somebody who's a little bit more introverted probably like yeah. So but I'm also sure that you'll be able to match that person's energy.
Yeah.
But at the same time also we want in research there's this term called goodness of fit, which means that there is a fit in terms of personality, character, and interaction. So we want to make sure that if let's say the first session is not a good fit, then we would recommend or refer you to somebody else, to any of our other practitioners. Yes.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's really, really important as well.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good fit, like if you have the right therapist, then then you would actively want to work on yourself. You would actively want to work on the situation.
Correct.
Because that helps. Versus a therapist who you don't feel entirely comfortable with.
Yes.
Then that
it becomes a barrier.
It becomes a barrier. It makes it like you're already trying to get over something really, really tough. Now you're making it even tougher for
So we do a complimentary or free clarity call or even a consult. I like to call it a consult.
Yeah.
Because consult seems a bit more manageable.
Yeah. Yeah, this is fantastic. So tell us a bit more what to expect in one of the sessions.
So during the first consult, we'll just find out a little bit more about what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and we'll probably just work on like one strategy for you to take away. And at the same time, so one strategy for you to implement during that 1 or 2 weeks until our next check-in, if you want to continue with that check-in, for example, right? And at the same time, you probably get to do a little bit of homework because it's important, because I want to also track in terms of like what are the things or what are the issues or situations that triggers you or that
triggers
or even like makes you feel upset. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said triggers. You equip people with tools,
strategies, or even like some techniques. Or even if let's say you get triggered and then you manage to identify the trigger, and then we then work to what works to help you cope with that situation. Because sometimes when people get triggered, they have anxiety attacks, they get angry, they get stressed, they get upset, they cry. So we work around that. And then we see like, identify the triggers, and then we see what you can do to cope.
I'm so glad you talk about triggers and coping mechanisms. And this is a fantastic time for me to pull out something.
Yeah.
Taufik, you wrote a book.
I did.
The Guidebook to Avoiding Parenting Pitfalls.
Yes.
Yes. I want to talk more about this in our second episode.
Sure.
I want to talk about triggers. I want to talk about why you wrote this book as well.
Okay.
So, this is our first episode. We are contactable at thepractitionerscollective.com. So feel free to reach out to us, any of us, Taufik or myself, and we will see you at episode 2. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.